Hey, we're back. Hey, welcome to Put It All on Red. This is Roberta the Tool Lady. I just wanted to welcome everyone, say thank you for watching, thank you for following up with me. Sometimes it seems like forever that we get to talk or I get to talk. Uh, and I wanted to say thank you to all the veterans. When I got to thinking about it, and I got to thinking about every generation in my family that has served this country, I was I was really grateful. I was proud, but then I thought that's a whole lot to serve a country who, especially if you're a person of color, often doesn't treat you right. And so it's very unselfish of them to serve their country. It's very heroic to serve their country. And certainly my hat goes off to all individuals who have served this country. And I'm so grateful for each and every one of you on that selfless task of saying that I'm going to serve America. I just wanted to say that. Thank you. And then I just want to say welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. The other part of tonight's show, we're going to be talking about teenage lifers. Um, and I want to introduce my guests. I have Catherine, and I have LaShawn, and of course myself. And tonight I'm going to talk about some intimate things, even about myself, as these ladies also share with us. So I'm going to go ahead and let LaShawn introduce herself first.
Hello, my name is Robbie LaShawn McClinton, and I'm glad to be on the show.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome.
And then I'm going to let Catherine go ahead and introduce herself.
Hi, my name's Catherine Cipriano. I'm happy to be here tonight.
Yes, thank you. And these ladies are so heroic because it is an intimate conversation that we're going to have. It's something very close to the heart. I'm going to, first of all, go ahead. We're going to do an emotions check. So, ladies, before we get started, since tonight's going to be just a little bit heavy hearted for me, and I know for you guys as well, um, I want to ask on a scale from 1 to 10, where's your emotion at tonight?
I'll say I'm
Uh,
at a 2 right now. We'll see. We'll
okay.
see where it goes.
Okay. Okay. Low. Okay. How about you, LaShawn?
I'm at a 5.
Okay. All right. And for me, I'm at a 5 or 6 too. I've had a long day of meetings. I rush home to do the show. Then, of course, my technology, it always has some things because I'm not really tech savvy. So there's no telling. It may work perfect as soon as we get off this show, to be honest with you. But anyway, that kind of dampened my spirit. But I'm glad that we are on tonight. Um, now, the I wanted to also say welcome, and you can feel liberal to say what you want to say. I kind of talked to you ladies yesterday to kind of get a feel, but this is just a conversation. This is if you're at my house or I'm at yours, and actually your family at this point. So you are welcome to share whatever's on your mind or heart as we go along the show. Now, let's talk about some hot topics that are going on before we get into the show. I know one hot topic was the SNAP benefits. What did you guys think about that this past? It's a month almost because we're on 11. So what is your thought about that? Kat.
I think holding food hostage from people to try to get what you want is sick.
Yeah.
And it's, the bulk of it is children and elderly people and disabled people, and you don't mind them going hungry to try to get what you want. There's something wrong with you.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I agree with you. I agree with you. I often say, and I still say it, we're in a country, one of the richest countries in the world. and not only economically but technology. All of those things we're supposed to be leaders in, but we can't feed our people. We have a
Mhm.
problem with everyone eating. That's a problem, because
Mhm.
no man or no woman could eat all the food. It's really is it's mind boggling how people can sit and say, well, no, we shouldn't feed them, or they need to get a job, or this and that, when the truth is no one person could eat all the food. And if it's enough for everybody, why can't
Mhm.
everybody eat?
Yep.
It's pretty sad. And what about you, LaShawn?
I think it's evil um, to do that to families, single moms, single dads, grandmas who's raising kids, to take that away from them. It shows that there's no heart. Uh, it's selfish and it's sick. I don't understand it, and it's uncalled for. And I just think they do it because it doesn't affect them.
Right, right. And I think that's what most people go off of when they spew different things. But the truth is, you know what? Even if you're working class and you're up under, say, I would say even up under that $1 million mark, you're not that far from being, you're not that far from not having nothing.
Mhm.
So, and people don't realize that. And even working people, common working people like you and I, or you all and I, we're not that far from needing help. You
Nope.
see what I'm saying? We're maybe two paychecks away and a couple credit cards.
Mhm.
That's it. That's it.
We're all
And we
closer to the homeless shelter than we are a mansion.
Yeah.
that's right. It's the truth. That's wonderfully said. That's just common sense, right? But
Mm.
I think people don't realize it, and they go on to talk about other people and pit each other against each other, when again we're one of the richest countries in the world. So no one man, no one woman can eat all the food. I mean, that just sounds, so it sounds greedy to me to think
Mhm.
about, I'm not going to share because I don't want you to have it. That's really greed. um and I like that. I like that you guys said that it is. Now, another thing that came along, which is what brought this kind of something that has been on my mind, or my heart, I'll say, which brought our tonight's show about, which for our audience, we're going to be talking about individuals who got life as teenagers, who were involved in a crime, and somehow the judicial system felt as though they had life. Now, I know a young lady personally. The young lady was 25 and her brother had just turned 15. And her brother was arrested for rape in a very small town in Oklahoma. Now, her brother had always said he really didn't do that. It was some mischief involved in it, right? It was some wrong involved in it, but he didn't do it. Well, court came about, and the judge found it that he was guilty. And they would give him 365 years in prison. Now, that happened 32 years ago. And needless to say, I'm that 25-year-old girl. And so tonight we're going to talk about that. I wrote a book about it to kind of get it out, because what I found, and in research, I found that my feelings were valid towards this unjust, that other people found it as well. When your loved one goes to prison like that, for one, you don't get any support. My mom never got any of her friends to say, hey, I'm sorry that happened, or even to support her in, you know what, you're a really good person, but things happen. We're going to help you pray this through. People don't support you when you have a situation like that. they shame you, or it's some stigma or some guilt that happens. That's the first thing. So in it, I felt isolated. And so I didn't talk about it a whole lot. I hired attorneys. I've had attorneys run out with my money. I've had attorneys lie to me. I've been ran around with this deal. Again, it's been going on 3 decades. So tonight I want to talk about, as loved ones supporting those individuals that are in prison. How do you see that? How do you see it? LaShawn, I'm gonna let you go first.
Um, my fiance he's been like that since he was 16. He was at the wrong place at the wrong time, and he was charged with the extra crime, but he didn't do it. Another kid did it, and there was a lot of corruption, and there's still a lot of corruption going on, misjust, and it's sad because he could have been out here in the free world. I mean, he's guilty. He did, he has to serve some time, but for him to still be locked up, and he's been locked up since he was 16, and it's been over 38 years. That is not fair. He should have been out here going to college to be a chef, a lawyer, doctor, wherever he wanted to be. He had that chance, like a lot of the young men and women that get locked up as teenagers. They should not be locked up and just buried and forgotten, like they're not humans, because they are humans, and they deserve a second chance at life or whatever they want to accomplish.
Oh, I like that. Yes, they are human. Um, and people do often forget that, because of the stigma. They forget it, that those people are human and they do belong to a family. Each one of us represented tonight. There's 21 people that if something was to happen to us, they would be concerned. That's 7 people apiece, and it may be more. But on odds, there's 7 people that would say, "Hey, what happened to Kat? What happened to Miss Catherine? What happened to Miss LaShawn? Where's Roberta at?" They would be looking and they would wonder what happened to us. And that's the same way with our loved ones. My grandmother died concerned about my brother. And that's the truth. Catherine, how about you?
Well, my husband's been incarcerated since he was 15. Um, a lot of corruption again. Is he guilty of a life being lost? Yes. Is it the circumstances that they say it is? Absolutely not. He's not guilty of first degree murder, but under Bob Macy, they didn't care. They sent him to prison, life without parole. Thankfully, in 2019, he was able to get the without knocked off. He now has life with parole, thanks to some Supreme Court cases, but he's been denied 3 times. Can't even get a second stage parole because on paper they all look bad on paper.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't even like to say he deserves a second chance. I like to say he deserves a chance because he never got one.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but they do. It's like a lot of people, they forget about him, the way they've been treated. He's been in 27 years now. The things he's been called, the things that people have said to him, it's sick. Um, his first case manager, he was 17 years old and got sent to one of the toughest prisons in the state. His first case manager looked at him and said, "How old are you?" He said, "I'm 17." She said, "You better learn how to fight or real good." Who says
Wow.
that to a 17-year-old child?
Wow.
Because they're children.
Yeah. 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 And I was reading, because I did look up how many lifers or people are in prison for life. And really the number is 430 something across the country. So it's a small number, but it's 1,000 that have gotten excessive sentences.
Hmm.
Because in my case, it wasn't life, but come on, a tree doesn't even live 365 years.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
A tree does not even live that long, less than long a person, you know. So it was still unreasonable and still a life sentence of its own. Um, now, and the crime, I don't, I feel like, or I've seen a lot of cases, and the point of a lot of cases is the one that just happened, what, in Stillwater, wasn't it Stillwater, with the young man who got the same cases as my brother,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
he got off.
Hmm.
He got a misdemeanor. Was it a misdemeanor? They lowered it to misdemeanors, or
Under the Youthful Offender Act. Yes, ma'am.
yeah. And so he got off. He didn't even do time. And here it is, my brothers in their 32 years.
Hmm.
It is an impartiality. As I was talking to Catherine yesterday, in our criminal system, especially in certain systems, because we're all talking tonight, we're talking about the Oklahoma criminal system.
Mhm.
First, Catherine had said about the district attorney Macy. Well, he and the lady who was supposed to be the forensic lady who was fixing the cases for him,
Mhm.
and then she was the scapegoat. You remember that, and it was
Hmm.
a big to do, and they, they disqualified her when really they were working together
Hmm.
to get those cases prosecuted. So basically, she would tamper with the evidence to get his cases
Hmm.
prosecuted.
Mhm.
So really, all of those cases should have been overturned at that point.
Yep.
To
Every one of
me,
those cases deserve a
yes,
second look. Every one of them.
yes, 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 and I mean, because it wasn't fair. How can you say it's fair if I'm fixing the information to go along with what you're saying it is, and
Hmm.
I'm the prosecutor?
And that's not justice.
No,
That's
it's
not
not.
justice.
No, it's not. No. Um, so could you guys share some of the things that you have found when you have reached out to other people for support or help?
Um, so I was actually blessed when my husband was at Joseph Hart Correctional Center.
Hmm.
Um, we kind of formed a little group, some of us ladies, and we've, even though people have moved and they've gotten shipped around and everything, we all stay in touch. Um, and one of the guys actually nicknamed us the Real Housewives of Joseph Hart. Um,
Okay.
but but we all understand what each other's going through, and it's hard to talk to people that don't have an incarcerated loved one. They don't understand. They try to be as sympathetic as they can, I think, but it's just, unless you're in it, you don't know.
No.
Um, and so thankfully I've been blessed with this group of very strong women, um, that we can reach out to. And there was a new guy that came in a couple weeks ago to the facility that my husband's at now, and I was able to kind of rein her in because she's new to all this and she doesn't understand. So I wanted to be there for her like other people have been there for me. Um, but I'm lucky. I know a lot of people don't have that kind of group. But it's been a blessing.
Yes. And how about you, Shonda?
I'm part of a group on social media called Second Chance, and that's where I get all my support from, and it
Okay.
helps me, because I'm sure y'all have the same thing. I have good days and I have bad days. When I think about my loved one, when I think about all the men and women locked up, lifers, all of them, it's really sad that it's like they're forgotten. thrown away like they're trash, and they're not. They're human beings, amazing human beings, just like we are out here in the free world.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the other thing is that, like I said, it's a disproportion because it's with people of color, and if not people of this color, it's also people of poverty. So it's people who cannot afford legal help, and it's also people who are of color, and that's the disproportion. That's the whole. And you can't say that that prison deserves only to be a certain group of people. That's not that's not even reasonable.
No.
Right.
That don't even sound right, right? If
No.
you see a whole number of people look like a certain way, or their income is a certain way in one group, that tells you that it's some things that are unjust there, that
Hmm.
there's no justice there. And I think overall, all across America, that's something that needs to be changed and addressed, because, like you said, they are people that are human, and they are still existing, and that there are people that love them, and that's why I wanted us to have this space to talk about this, because, like I said, I never, out of all these years, I've never gotten to talk about it. Never. Uh, and each time, that I have done things, it was always, like I said, with an attorney or with writing letters, but it's never been with the support of other people. And when you have loved ones that are going through this, you need the support of other people.
Yeah.
Because that's an awful big, not a secret to keep, but that's an awful bit, a lot to keep on your heart.
Hmm.
Yes.
You know, uh, Throughout this time, I've seen my sister die,
Mm.
uh, and I believe a lot of that, and she had breast cancer, and she's 10 years younger than I am, but I believe this had a big part in her, and I would say depression, for lack of words, or how she felt, because she was concerned about her brother. They happened to be a year apart, and she's concerned about him. And when you don't know what to do, because I can only imagine, I'm 25, and here she is 14. What do you do? What do you do?
It's
And
hard.
like it really is. And like I said, we never did get any support. What are some of the things that you feel like could help in this, or in this effort, or in this cause?
Oh boy. Uh, I mean, there's a lot. A couple weeks ago, I went to an interim study at the state capitol, on parole, and I was pleasantly surprised at what I heard. Some of these state reps talking about. They want parole reform, but the day before, I didn't know they did an interim study on life sentences, and they were discussing trying to pass a bill that would give Oklahoma one of the second look laws to, so if they were, I think the age was 21 and up, get a
Mhm.
second look at their case after 20 years. Um, After, if they were a juvenile offender, 15 years, and then they'd give them a second look. And I think for these guys that have been in a long time, I mean, it's past due.
Yes.
Um, the laws are going to have to change in order to get some of these guys home, and
Yes.
ladies too.
Yeah.
Um, there are women too. One of the women that actually presented at that interim study that I was at, she was 14 years old when she was charged with murder. and she's been at Mabel Bassett, and she went up for parole 8 times. She finally came home after 31 years, I think. She finally came home last April. So,
Mhm.
but we need a, I think we need a more diverse parole board. Um,
Yeah.
I think it doesn't need to be packed with judges and DAs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, the ironic part that you just said, you know who picks them. The Supreme Court of Oklahoma picks
mhm.
the people who are on the parole board. And
Hmm.
Yep.
so you know who sentences. So it's kind of like a conflict, to be honest, because
Absolutely.
it's like, hey, I call you after you're on my show, and I say, hey, LaShawn, you want to be on this board, and it's we're going to be doing this and this. That's kind of a conflict because
Yeah.
once I know you for one,
Yeah.
to even think of you to appoint you. And I think that's been the whole problem with dealing with Oklahoma and the criminal system is that they're all intertwined, meaning the
It's a good
judicial
old boy
system.
system.
That's a good word to use. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So if you find one that don't like you, then they're gonna all hold to each other,
Hmm.
whether it be the criminal,
Mhm.
even to be factual, even if it's in foster care. I've seen them do that, like
Mhm.
align up with DHS, with the state, even in a case where the children were being abused within the foster care system to support each other and what they've decided with these families. So it's all across the board when you come to the court in Oklahoma. But you're
Mhm.
you're right. You're right. It does need to be some. I think reform would be really something that they need to look at. Uh, how about you, Miss LaShawn?
I agree with Catherine that it needs to be changes in our the parole board. Um, and I'm going to say this: when they do um, look at each case, they don't need to look at the race. They need to look at the individual as a person, a human
Yep.
being, and how long they be in there. Like me and Catherine's husbands, that's been locked up since 15 to 16. They should have been out a long time ago. They should have been released a long time ago. And for them to be overlooked, and then I've been with my husband for 10 years now. They come out with new laws, but each time his parole come up, he get denied. And one time they didn't even let him know that his parole was up. And they allowed the detective from his case to talk without him being there to talk about his case, or his lawyer to talk about his case. So I just think it's unfair, unjust, and a lot of corruption and greed. And I just think they need to put people on the parole board that's going to be fair for each case, and not look at the race. And they're going to be honest people, not friendly toward with the judges and the DAs, so they can get their way where everybody agree that this person is going to be denied, because that's not fair to the families or the
Correct.
individual.
Correct. Um. Now and I agree with you, but and like I said, the thing that I found interesting was the Supreme Court. The judge chooses those people, so that's a big conflict. And
Hmm.
so that's why it's kind of a non-ending battle of justice. Um, the other part, I wish there was other things, like the second chance movement. Uh, and that's pretty. I want to actually give him a shout out because I did go to a program that they did, and at the uh, at the prison that my brother's at, and they are very uplifting to them. and very supportive of the families, and they don't really miss a beat. So I'm really happy that they are there and helping, the families. Because that actually, if not for that, I probably wouldn't have regained my voice, to be honest. But I think it's something that people ought to hear, they ought to know about, because, you know, just as well as this is the corrupt judges and the DA's career and their legacy, I think their legacy should be exposed.
Yes.
I really do. I think they should be exposed. I think they should be exposed for being uh unjust, for being, if it's bigots. I remember at my brother's at his court, guess who was there? The Ku Klux Klan was there, you know. And I can remember my mom begging and crying, you know. So I can remember these things, and it wasn't that long ago. And for that to even be allowed in such a sensitive place, guess who else had to have a part in it? The judge, of course, right?
Right.
You know, for for who else is gonna who how else is this gonna be allowed?
Right.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. I remember talking to one of you ladies last night, and you said, well, they're way out in different country areas. And I also shared that in those areas, they do a lot of Ku Klux Klan enrollment, right? I had a friend that lived out there, and they put the little enrollment in the mailboxes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in certain areas and certain times. So yes, you have all of these things going on in certain areas. So it's a lot of different angles when you're talking about incarceration and people getting justice. Um, what can you say that how can you say or where do you see this going to in the future? Where do you see it going? You want LaShawn to answer first?
I
LaShawn, you
I'm gonna be
uh-huh,
positive. I like being positive, and I have a
uh-huh.
lot of hope that change is going to be made, or you know everybody, a lot of people need to come together and speak out against the unjust and the corruption and the greed going on in the Supreme Court, the judge, with all individuals that's locked up, men and women. We all need to come together and speak out against them serving too many years. Some of the crimes they get in trouble for, they get too much time, too many years. That's my opinion. And we just need to come together as a community, as a unity, and speak out and stand up for everybody that's locked up, including our loved ones, uh, so that the changes can be made. Because we can't just sit still and not do anything, not speak out, and expect changes to be made because it was up to the Supreme Court and the judges. Things going to stay the same. They like the way things are now. They like having that power to keep certain people locked up and everything. And it's sad to say that race does factor in that. Uh, and I just believe that we all just need to come together, sign petitions, go to the courthouse, go to the programs that Second Chance Movement have. We all just need to come together and do our part.
Yes. And I would like to say to the viewers, if you're not a member of Second Chance, go there and become a member. On Facebook, social media, so you'll know some of the things that are going on. and also that you can get some support if you have a family member that is incarcerated. They show up at different hearings, they show up at different functions at the prisons. I mean, they are 100% dedicated to that cause. And I agree with you, LaShawn. I think we ought to all fall together in support of this. Uh, and Catherine, what about you? What do you think? I think you're on mute.
I sure am. Um, no, I think, we need to band together. You can ignore one, you can ignore one, you can't ignore a whole.
That's
Um,
right.
and I think there's always a lot of fear to speak out on things because we fear for the safety of our loved ones in there. The retaliation is real.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh, if it, any we've all wanted to, I think, make a phone call because something was wrong, and have all been told, don't call up here, don't call up here,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
they know what happens. They can't pick individually if we're all one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what it's going to take in order to, and not only to get them home, but the ones that are still going to be in there and the ones that come after, to make a better environment for them.
Yeah.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
punishment is being incarcerated.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
rest of it should be about rehabilitation while they're in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I,
And
I think that's a big problem we have here too, is the treatment, and the what do you want them to be when they come home, when you've mistreated them for decades.
Right.
yeah.
So I think if everybody would, everybody that has an incarcerated loved one, stand up and advocate, and become one voice, I think that's how we make, good positive change in the system.
Correct. Correct. And as you said, for decades, because to me, there's no rehabilitation.
No.
Uh, so that's not a component, when people say, well, they need to go to prison or they need to do this, that. There's no component of rehabilitation.
Only if you
You
seek it.
know, that's right. That's right. And also because I worked community sentencing, also what is it, drug court and mental health court. So those are more geared to rehabilitation, but
Mhm.
they have the common sense to know it has to start in the community. It doesn't start with you taking a person and throwing them somewhere way out, away from their community,
Mhm.
and then punishing them to death. That's not the, and I mean, and especially, because I'm not a legalist, I'll say it that way, but I do know that I've seen enough people, like I said, the young man who said that he did rape those 7 girls, and then he gets a misdemeanor crime, and he doesn't do any time, versus my brother who's been in there 32 years. I know
Mhm.
that's a vast difference, and it's wrong.
Mhm.
Yes, it
It's
is.
wrong. And then they say, well, it's because the judge was liberal. That has nothing to do with,
Not nothing. Absolutely
no,
nothing.
it does not. That's just a way of excusing it. The truth is that young man looked like the judge,
Mm.
and she had more favor upon him. When my brother didn't look like the judge or the DA, or for that fact, not even the jury.
Right.
Yep.
No, and that's a lot of our loved ones.
Yep.
Uh, when they talk about, because we really don't. Once you're thrown into a situation, you don't know what is right or wrong with it,
Yeah.
and you really trust that system. It's just like those boys who got locked up in New York. They trusted a system, and they didn't know. It's no difference from that. And I've seen people that get off on much worse and heinous crimes.
Mhm.
right? And actually are in our communities now. But yet these individuals don't deserve it even after 20, 30 years, because 20 years is supposed to be a life sentence in Oklahoma. That's supposed to be
And
the uh-huh.
we're well beyond that now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Well
Yeah, we're
beyond
20.
that.
Yes, we're 20 plus 10, 20 plus 12. Yes, we are. And so it's ridiculous because you get to thinking about it. Here we are almost 20 plus. So you're going to give them 3 life sentences?
And I've never understood that amount of excessive sentencing.
Mm-hmm.
All you're trying to do is make yourself look good, the judge and the DA. Oh, I got all that. You're giving people time they're never going to be able to serve. What is the
Yeah.
point of this?
Yeah.
It's You're
Yeah.
just trying to make a name for yourself. It's just like Bob Macy. Like, our loved ones' lives were a notch on his belt. Like,
Yeah.
it's sick. And
Yeah.
excessive
They
sentences
just,
aren't making us safer anyway.
yeah.
So why do we keep doing this?
Yeah.
You're right.
And
Right.
our prisons are overcrowded and overflowing. I mean, I worry about my husband's safety every day because they're
Yes.
so overflowing and understaffed.
Yes, they are.
We can't
Yes, they
keep
are.
doing this.
No.
No. No. And I tell you what, I seen it. The private prisons are suing these states because they can't keep them full the way they promised them.
Mm.
I'm gonna say it
Well,
again.
now they're trying to bring them back in Oklahoma, but as ICE detention centers.
Oh.
Yeah. 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 So they're gonna be holding supposed to be illegal individuals that are here illegally when they're actually suing because they are not imprisoning enough people here in America.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's all about money. It's all about
Yeah.
money. Even in the state run facilities, they get a kickback from Securus, which is the phone calls and the texting and
Mm-hmm.
stuff on their tablets. They get a kickback from Keefe now. The canteen prices for them to be able to buy food on commissary have like tripled. It's
Yes.
insane. It's all
Yeah.
about profit. And then you have OCI, which Oklahoma Correctional Industries. They give these guys their good jobs. They're paying them. It's the equivalent of a child making an iPhone in a sweatshop in China. That's the wages
Yeah.
you're giving them. This is like, it's modern day slavery, and that's why they want to keep them in there.
Yeah. 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 So all the way around, it's ways of, it's like you said, it's slavery.
Hmm.
You're right. All the way around, it's slavery. And then we cry about slavery, but we sit here and let it operate up under our nose
Hmm.
Yeah.
because they're suing them for not housing enough criminals. That lets you know that and a lot of the judges. I remember there was some cases in Oklahoma where those judges owned stock
Hmm.
in those prisons.
Hmm. Yep. Talk about a conflict of interest.
Right. So, the accountability piece is really is not there when you're talking about prisons and in the United States.
Hmm.
And that's why I think we should be more aware of the stigma that we allow ourselves as common people to allow to get upon people who are in prison or have been arrested or whichever the case, because we there's a lot of stigma towards it. It's almost like stigma with mental health, but it's a lot of stigma when you speak of different things that have happened in the criminal system or that are happening in the criminal system.
Yes.
It's like, like LaShawn said, people turn their back or
Hmm.
they turn their blind eyes to it and they
And
continue to let it happen.
and I think that there's a lot of stigma too. They think us as advocates for our loved ones They think that we excuse, we think that people should just walk away from things. I don't excuse crime. I don't
Right.
excuse anything that was done.
Yeah.
But I also think that justice is not one-sided. And I
Yeah.
think that that's something that people need to understand more too, because they think when we advocate for our loved ones, and not just my loved ones, for all those guys in there, because I've met so many good people in there. They just, good people do bad things too.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I'm not excusing what they did, and I'm not saying that they didn't deserve, to be incarcerated for a certain period of time, but not
Right.
an unjust period of time. And
Right.
and it needs, like I said, justice is not one-sided. It's about balance. And what do you do with what's left after the crime is committed?
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with it. Because the whole thing I would say is, like I said, I used to be a counselor in an agency, and on Monday nights we would let this guy who had got out of prison for murder come and do one of our groups. Because it was a what I just say, it was a drug court group, and he would
Hmm.
come and say how what he was involved in before, but he didn't spend no 20, 30, 40 years in prison. You see what I'm saying? He
Yeah.
didn't spend no time like that. So it's not fair. That's my whole deal. It's just not fair, and then it makes me feel like, okay, if you're, like I said, your legacy is built on this, but your legacy is really built upon saying that it shouldn't have been built upon, because you're really not a nice person. You're evil. That's the truth of it.
Hmm.
Because you know what you have done, not only to this person, but you've done it to that whole family unit. A lot of times, like I said, people, stress of it kills the other people.
Hmm.
When a person goes to prison, it's almost like you're experiencing a death.
Hmm.
That's how much stress that you're putting on each family member.
Yes.
Yep, it is. It's still the same stages of grief,
It
as if
is.
as if you lost a loved one. It's very
Yes.
much the same.
Yes. Yes. So it's overwhelming. And so you built a legacy on this. That's the legacy. So I really believe that people should be exposed. I believe it should be stopped. Now, how do you do it? I don't know. Maybe it's starting more conversations like we're having tonight, to discuss it, to get it out here for people to talk. Because I'm positive I'm not the only one, as you all
No,
are not the only one.
we're not. We're
Right.
not.
Or not.
If you look at, I mean, Mr. Glenn Simmons, who was released after 47, 48 years, he was in
Yes.
prison for a crime he wasn't even in the state when it happened. And he finally got released a couple years ago. And even then, the Oklahoma County judge refused to apologize, and they
Yes.
refused to admit that they did wrong.
Wow.
And
Yes.
how can we move forward if you guys won't even? I think that's where, because most people I know don't trust the justice system. Um,
Right.
those of us who have seen it, we don't.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that's, let's admit that we were wrong. Let's look at all this stuff again and say, you know what, we messed up, and let's try to make it right, and people
Right.
can have faith in our system again.
Right. Because where's the accountability piece?
There's none.
If you, yeah, if you can do people unjustly, and then you get an attaboy for it, and accolades for it, and then you moved up to the court over the Supreme Court.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So now
And
you're trying more cases
mhm,
unjustly, because you can't change your mind now. Your mind is fixed because you've
mhm.
gotten promoted on those set of things that you've done to these people. Where's the justice? And then
Yeah.
you're picking the parole board.
Yep.
It's
Who are the
it's
real
really
criminals here?
right. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. It's unbelievable because both men who were over my brother's sentence, one is over the Supreme Court of Oklahoma, and guess what the other one is? He's over the appellate court. And guess how long he's been sitting there? 25 years.
Mhm.
Both.
See, and that's another thing too. They shouldn't sit there in these seats that long.
Mm-mm.
They need fresh eyes and a fresh voice in there in these positions. They shouldn't sit there for decades.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
completely unfair because no judge is going to want to undo what they've already done.
Yeah.
Right. Or what you're right. Because that's the hardest. That's the thing. And but again, where's their integrity at? Where's the integrity as a judge? To
Yeah.
me, you don't have integrity even as a
No, they
judge.
don't.
No,
No.
they don't. They don't.
No.
And they sit there so long as a judge and, have all this power and they think, and, they don't got away with everything.
Mhm.
Why change? That's their mindset. Why should I change? I got away with this. And, they make money off the prisoners facilities, but the guys and men that the guys and women that are locked up, they eat slop. They're not, they don't have access to healthy food. And some of these inmates, men and women, are diabetics or have other medical conditions. The medical in the facilities is a joke
Trash.
because they treat them like they're animals. Because they're locked up for a crime they committed, but they're not animals, they're humans, and they need to have access to healthy food, better medical care, and they need to have more programs to where they're ready to be released when they come out of the world. They're ready because
Yeah.
they you know gave this to the men and women, but they're not going to do it. I Because they've been doing this for 25 years. So we need more honest people in the court, the Supreme Court, as judges who will hold accountability for what they do, right and wrong, and they're going to be honest and they're going to be fair to each individual.
Yes, I agree. Now, ladies, we're already, as I said, we're at the end of our conversation tonight. I told you yesterday, I said, once we start talking, that time goes and flows. I know just as we get warmed up. But what I want to do, I want to offer you guys the time to come back in December, uh, before the new year, and that we talk some more about the subject, and that we really talk about it and form a safe place for people who are concerned about their loved one, who do have the same thoughts that we do as far as where's it going, and that we also start networking, if it's with the second chance movement, or even the young man who had referred you guys to me, that we start really partnershiping together. So I'm so glad that you guys joined me tonight. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. Um, if you have a social media site or anything that's out there that you want anybody to tag you in, or to follow you, to let our people that are watching know at this point.
I don't have any social media stuff. I'm kind of an under the radar advocate.
Okay, okay, all right,
I'm a
okay.
I'm a
Well, that's
member of the Second Chance movement,
uh-huh.
and it's a great, amazing group, and they do stand up for all individuals, men and women, and I get a lot of support from there, and you get to read about different individuals, their cases, how long they've been locked up. It's a very good group to be part of.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. And for me, I'm also a member of that group. I also I've networked with the NAACP in that area, and Miss Francetta, who has been more than a pile of gold to me and my brother. If you want to read my story, it's a short little story, but it's on Lullaby. It's also on Amazon. It's about really, some of the things that we went through because we've been through, as I said, it's been 30 years plus. I was 25. My brother was 15. And by the way, he just had a birthday like 2 days before he was arrested. So had just turned 14. Uh, so saying that I do have a book, it's called The Black Box Unjust. And it just tells my point of view because like I said, you don't have anybody to talk to. I never had anybody to talk to, about it. Of course, our heart was broken, but we never really had anyone who supported us in this endeavor. So I appreciate you, ladies. Thank you. The offer to come back at the end of the year is always open,
I'd love
and
to.
I love you all. And
I'll be here.
all right, thank you all so much, and good night.
Good
Good night,
night.
Good
everyone.
night.
There's a sparkle